What y'all say earlier?
Yeah, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Yeah.
Yo, Redeem Team. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of Stories of Redemption Podcast, where we base this podcast out of Psalms 107 verse 2, where it says, let the redeemed of the Lord say so, those who he has redeemed from the hand of the enemy. We are your hosts. I am Dennis to Society.
Yes, sir. Preston Pizzo, the messenger.
All right, and P, tell them who we got today, bro.
So today, man, our guest of honor that is sitting on the sofa is not just a guest, man. He is my brother, my blood brother. The first sibling to come to the podcast.
Let's go.
So I'm super excited about that. But with no further ado, man, my brother Nathan Williams, man, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be hanging out with you, man, and seeing and being able to contribute to the podcast.
Come on, bro. We happy that you're here to contribute, fam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, it's good to have you in the redeemed seat, bro. That's what we call it, the redeemed seat.
The redeemed
I think
seat.
As of last podcast, that's what I started calling it, the redeemed seat.
I like it. I like it.
Yes, sir, man. How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling great. Feeling great.
Good. So, you came down from Tulsa, right?
Came down from Tulsa.
You said you drove down yesterday.
So I drove down from Tulsa yesterday, and I've got all of our family is here. So I got the opportunity to stay at my grandmother's house down the street from here. So we're only 6 minutes away. So it made it easy to just drive on over and then get to spend time with you guys today.
Dope, man. So y'all two are brothers, right? I wanna hear one. If y'all could share one story that comes to mind. I know we've been talking a little bit, but one funny story that comes to mind whenever y'all come together, and y'all, this is something that always just comes up.
Oh, man. We've got a lot of different things that we've done together. Do you want to talk about the 4th of July where you threw the firework on the trampoline?
We get whatever you want to share, bro. I'm open with any and all of it.
I remember that one a lot. So, one 4th of July, me and Preston would always come up with some crazy stuff. Or maybe I would, and then I'd talk him into doing it or something. I don't know.
Now, if I'm honest, I always thought it was the other way around.
You think so?
Yeah, I always thought whenever I came around, you was always doing stuff that you wouldn't normally do.
Because I had somebody to do it with. That's why all these ideas have been floating around in my head, too.
Yeah.
And then it would be great to do it with somebody else, my brother.
Because y'all the same age.
We're the same age.
Yeah.
And so he'd be the only one around that would be brave enough to do it. So I think we would feed into each other.
Yeah.
So one year we go out to my parents' friend's house and for 4th of July, and then we are jumping on a trampoline. And I don't remember whose idea it was. I remember I said it, though. Yeah. And I was like, you know what would be cool if we took this bottle rocket and lit it and threw it up as high as we could on the trampoline so it would explode on us in the air. But we got to time it. We got to time it right, okay? So we don't get blown up. So it was my idea, and I was like, Preston, you should do it. You should be the one to do it. So we go ahead and get the bottle rocket and stuff. We're all standing there. Now we got our sisters and the friend's family. All the kids are on the trampoline right now. Nobody went against us. Yep. That's a real dumb thing. Okay,
yeah, nobody had the sense to say, "Hey, maybe this ain't a good idea."
Yeah, nobody questioned us.
Everybody was in for the ride.
So Preston has the bottle rocket and the lighter. And we're getting ready to start jumping and stuff. Preston lights the bottle rocket. Immediately, it's lit, and he drops it on the trampoline. So now, and I wish I could have seen this from like far away, but all the kids, all of us are launching ourselves off this trampoline. And I'm seeing people not landing on their feet, hitting the ground, rolling, and all kinds. We're going to get away from this bottle rocket any way we can. So we're just launching ourselves off the trampoline. And we're running away. And then the bottle rocket explodes on the trampoline. and it puts burnt holes
Yep.
all over the trampoline.
Yep.
And like I said, I wish I could have seen this from far away just to see how kids are
Yeah,
just
just
flying off
flying
this
off the
trampoline. And that was one of the silliest things that we did. And then I asked Preston, I said, Preston, why did you drop it? He said, man, you didn't feel that power. I said, what? And so I thought about this years later.
Yeah.
I looked at him, I was like, you fool, like, what do you mean? And whenever you light those thick wicks, they jump every single time. If you ever notice that, they jump every single time. Yeah. And I was like, it took years
Yeah.
for me to realize that. I was like, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
You didn't feel that power.
Yeah, you didn't feel that power. And I was like, what are you, what?
He knew it was a bad idea as soon as he lit it.
You about killed us.
Last moment. Hey, you gotta. Hey,
It was a business decision.
business decision.
Executive.
I need my limbs.
I don't remember if it was I don't remember if it was before that or after that, but we were still popping and throwing, and one of them actually blew up in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling that ache in my hand, man. After that, and that was like, dude, this is
Was that the same year you got shot in the leg by a Saturn missile too?
I don't know.
Yeah, he got shot in the leg
Yeah.
by one of those Saturn missiles that tilted over, and then it fell, and then it started shooting around in a circle.
Yeah.
And it popped him in the leg on that too.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of dumb stuff.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, we did too. Our thing was Roman candle wars.
Shooting.
Yeah. That was our thing every year. Just chasing each other down the street with Roman candles, bro.
I never did that really.
Never did that one.
I
Yeah.
I know whenever I used to come down there, I know that they probably had to prepare themselves for us being together though, because literally it was always something.
We would always do something.
I remember we and I don't know why we did this, but I remember they had a glass table and they they had a glass dining room table, and for some reason we decided to just jump on it. We dancing and just being stupid, man.
We are very small too.
Yeah.
To do this.
Yeah, and that sucker shattered, bro. I remember his mom running in there trying to figure out what happened. He was underneath the table, and when the glass broke, like so it's looking like dang, P is just out of control. Why are you on top of this table? He underneath the table.
Glass table.
Yeah, glass
It
table.
would be one thing if it was wood.
Yeah, no, it was glass. And then that was the time when that was probably the first time that Daddy was ever gonna whoop me, and I was scared. And he ended up not whooping me, and he didn't really ever whoop us. He did some other things, but he didn't ever whoop us.
Yeah.
And he had me over his knee, and he wrenched his hand back, was about to whoop me, and then he like play patted me. And I was like, what the heck? And he was like, no, go on out of here. And I was like, what the heck? And I asked him later on, I said, why did you do that? Because I was like scared. I was like, oh no. And he said, y'all got glass and cut up and all that stuff. I mean, y'all do what y'all knew y'all messed up.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, man, thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
for
that was
sure.
that was definitely a merciful moment.
Yeah.
By your
100%.
dad, man.
100%.
Feeling like y'all, you can tell whenever a kid is really sorry for what they did, and I don't think every time it need to be followed up with a whooping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes they realize like they feel bad enough, like dang,
Yeah.
So that was definitely a moment of mercy by your pops, because some dad would have just laid
him
into
up.
him anyway.
And then we would have dressed all their wounds.
Yeah, afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, Nate, man, thank you for sharing that, bro. Man, so I want to jump into it a little bit, man. I want to know, tell us a little bit about yourself, bro. Who are you today, man?
So today, I am Nathaniel Eugene Williams. I live in Tulsa with my family. Actually, Broken Arrow, if you want to be exact. We live in Broken Arrow, which is like a suburb of Tulsa. I've got two beautiful kids. I got Bryson, who's about to be 10 in December 20th, and I got Livy that just turned 5 on the 5th of November. And then I got my beautiful wife, Crystal. So we live in Tulsa. Both of us work. I have my own business. It's called Prime Capital. We're a financial education agency. We teach people about finances, how to be able to get the upside of the market without the downfall, and how to also create a lifetime tax-free retirement. So you never lose money again, but you also have income for the rest of your life that's tax-free. And then we also teach something else is I'm super passionate about, which is living benefits, which is life insurance you don't have to die to use, which I'll tell a little bit more about in my story and how it connects and everything as well too. But it's something that you can access if you have something crazy happen to you, like cancer, heart attack, stroke, that you can access some money to make sure you keep your family afloat. So that way you don't have to you don't end up in financial ruin, losing your house, losing your business, can't pay your bills, and medical bill debt, all that stuff. And so that's kind of what we teach, and that's my life as a whole right now, just enjoying my family. My life has been changed by the story I'm about to tell, being able to enjoy every moment with my family, and then also being able to serve others through my business or through this story or what's happened to me in the recent years, to be able to uplift other people and give them that, because sometimes I know that other people need to see your scars so they know that their scars will heal too. So, yeah, that's neat.
Man, love it, bro.
Yeah, that's good.
How long have you and your wife been married?
5 years now. So we're coming on year 6. It's going by really, really fast.
Yeah.
Faster than I ever thought it would. Kids are growing up faster than I thought. Everything you hear when you're younger, it is true.
Yeah.
Man, my mom used to tell me all the time, like, don't rush. You know, don't rush to get older. She would always say, man, if I could just be that little girl again, just sitting up in that tree. Mm-hmm. Like, that was her reminiscing. Like, she would always say that. And yeah, man, it's real, because I feel like after high school, right, life starts to speed up. Then you hit your 20s, and then the ball is really rolling. You throw a couple kids in the mix, and then like now you 35. Mm-hmm. You know, and it just really is like it speaks to and testifies to the fact that our lives are vapors, bro.
Yeah.
And I can remember being, 5, 6, looking at my parents and being, figuring like, yeah, they kind of old.
Yeah, right.
And then, looking at my grandparents and like,
They
feeling
really
like
old.
They really old.
They real old, and then, fast forward, man, I'm in my parents' position now. I got kids looking at me that's probably the same way. Mm-hmm. My parents are now the grandparents, man, it really does go by really fast, bro. So you're absolutely right. Yeah. So Nate, man, is there anything else you want to share as far as who you are today? Did we miss any? We pretty much covered everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
I wanted to ask you, what is something that marriage taught you, like just as a man, from a man standpoint, and just in general?
Being married to my wife, patience.
Yep.
That's it.
So patience. I mean, I feel like it's taught me a lot. Obviously I've been around people and stuff. I've been in a business where I interact with people and stuff. But it's taught me patience in a way that, not everybody thinks the way that you think.
Yeah.
And to be able to, when you get married and stuff, it's not all about, hey, my ideas and your ideas. You guys got to learn how to become one and mold together, because you're molding your life together as well too. So the creation that you're making the life that you're trying to create, there's roles and attributes that you may not have that the other one has, and you've got to learn those positive features about there and their negative ones to be able to get everything going in the right direction and stuff. And you really, it's a struggle when you're not like that, because if you think about it, in the early years when you first get married, you're trying to blend this together. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got sometimes one's trying to force another one to do this, and this one's trying to force to do that, and everything like that. Your ideas against her ideas and stuff like that. And you got to find a common ground to where we can get to rowing in the same direction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it's all about. And I think once you kind of start to figure that out, that's where it really gets like beautiful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know my wife and stuff like that. Like, I remember we were in Vegas, and this is just little things, and I was talking to her sister, and her sister was trying to argue with me and stuff. And I was like, man, whatever. and I said something, and she was like, well, this isn't, and my wife was like, he's not saying that, he's saying this.
Yeah.
So she knows me in a sense that, hey, what I was trying to relate to her, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it might not come off where another person might really be understanding it, but she knows how to understand it, and she was able to relay what I was trying to say to her. Exactly. So, and then the same thing with her. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, you might be like, what? I'm like, no, she's not saying that. She's saying this.
Yeah.
And so once we get together like that and get it going together, one, it creates a lot of peace in the household and everything. But everything just feels good. You know what I'm saying? Everything just feels good with every decision that you're making and stuff like that. She's got your back, you got hers.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's a beautiful thing.
That's right.
When you can do that. But it takes effort to do that. You don't just get married and just like, I'm going to do my thing and you do your thing. You got to try every day to try to get to that point and mold yourself to do that. And they got to do the same thing too. So when you find somebody you're matched like that, that's a awesome thing.
Yeah.
Right, bro. So as for the younger men out there that are listening, like, what are some key things that you can say that you had to do in order to like start learning your wife?
I had to pay attention to listening. I had to listen a lot more. And it's not just like listening to people's words and stuff like that, because sometimes people will convey things out of whatever emotion that they're feeling at the time and stuff like that. And you got to try to use your discernment and stuff like that. But you have to be able to listen and watch. Okay? So I'm probably pay attention for anything. And at the same time, still, you know, it can be a complicated thing. You got to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
So if she's saying something out of anger or something like that, at the time she probably might not mean that or something like that. But you got to be able to wrap around back later when she's calmed down or something like that, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And sit there and be able to talk about it. Hey, I know you said this earlier, but really, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa. Hey, baby, I know you was upset about it. You had a hard day at work, but you acted like this. What's going on here? And you got to be able to communicate. So being a good listener is part of communication. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, you know, a lot of things that's one of the main things that can, you know, make or break a relationship is communication.
For
you
sure.
know? And so I would say just be a good listener and be able to talk too. So be able to express your feelings and stuff like that, but also be compassionate enough to be able to care about the other person and ask them really what's going on here.
Yeah.
Right.
Get down to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are surface sometimes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just because we're walking around angry and stuff like that, it might have been because we slipped in some dog stuff earlier this morning. And that might be the only thing. But you're over here freaking out because of all the other stress of the world and stuff like that. But your morning started off bad.
That's good, bro.
Yeah. That's one thing that I love about how the word, you know, basically tell us, you know, to, you know, when he give us the standard of us loving our wives as Christ loved the church, you know, like that was one of the biggest things that was a challenge, you know what I mean? Because it goes back to what you were saying, not worrying about being right or who started the argument or who don't understand who, but learning the patient side of things and learning that love conquers all of these things. So it's like, if I love you, like I say I love you, it don't matter how the argument started. How can we come to an agreement to diffuse what's happening? You know what I mean? And that took me along, like what you stated earlier, with me having that fuse. You know what I mean? That was one of the hardest things for me to really grasp. Like the Lord really had to do that for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have that capacity to actually be patient or gentle, or I really didn't understand that type of communication. You know what I mean? And so thank God his intervening helped me in my weak areas, you know what I mean? And he gave me the ability to love and to be patient and to be gentle, you know? So that's what I love about how when we allow God to be God in our lives, you know what I mean? Wherever we weak or wherever we don't know how to do these things, he's the one that come in and picks up the slack, you know what I mean? And show us how to move and operate in those things.
Yeah, bro. And to y'all's point, like, and another part of that is dying to self, right? Because if we led by our emotions, we'll respond the same way that our wives are responding, or vice versa. And it happens in an instant. It's a split decision choice that you got to make. Am I going to walk in my flesh right now and meet her and match the energy that I might be getting from her? Like, and that never ends well.
Never. No.
Or am I just going? For me, that just looked like staying silent, because if I respond, it's not gonna come out right.
Right.
One, and two, I'm probably gonna say something stupid. Like, I'm gonna probably add some fuel to the fire.
Right.
So
I
for
definitely did that.
so for me, it just looked like being quiet and letting her go on her. If she's upset about something, letting her voice that. And when I'm quiet, I can hear the Holy Spirit better. Like, so if the Holy Spirit give me something to say, and like in that moment, then I will. But if it's just me and my own thoughts, and I know it's not matching up with something that the Lord would have me to say, then I just, if I'm responding right, because sometimes I don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know what you're saying.
I think I go this route, and because sometimes we know that even if you don't respond, that's still a response.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not the response that's going to help the whole situation.
Yeah.
So what I started doing a long time ago is sometimes, even if she's just frustrated and having a bad day or something like that, they don't always want you to fix it, because we think about fixing stuff, right? But they want to do, they just want to express their feelings. So whether she's mad at me or mad about her day or something like that, and I don't think I'm going to have a good response, I just say, I hear you, I understand. And then either, I can walk away from that and not have to hear anything else, or, that gives me a second to think about what I'm going to say. But just to say, hey, acknowledge that I heard you
Right.
is enough for, that argument or the issue that she's having that day and stuff like that. And just like, all right, yeah. And I literally say, like, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I hear you.
I understand.
Because I don't want to just mutter something inaudible, like, because I'm like, I don't really give a damn. But, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say something like that, but I'll be like, all right, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So she's mad at me or something like that. I'm like, hey, look, I understand how you feel.
Yeah.
And I can leave it, and that can leave it right there, too.
Yeah.
Other than, like, you're not saying nothing. Did you hear me? Blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah.
And now you like, oh, my gosh, now what do I say?
Yeah.
All right, I heard you.
Right.
And that's why I was saying the Holy Spirit, though. You know what I mean? Like with him, he gives us the capacity and the ability, to discern and know how to respond in those moments. Do we always get it right?
No.
You know what I mean? But do we learn how to make it right? Yes. You know what I mean? If we're willing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You got to be open to suggestion from the Lord.
Yeah.
Just like you are from any other, if you're learning from a job or something like that too, you got to be open to suggestion, to being taught. And if he's the ultimate teacher, you got to be open and listening to him when he speaks to you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's right.
That's good, bro. All right, so shifting gears here, Nate. We on Stories of Redemption right now.
Come on.
And I heard you got some.
I got a big one.
You got a big one. Man, so, yeah, man, wherever you want to start off, bro, we just want to hear, like, how did the Lord redeem you from the hand of the enemy, bro?
Well, let's see. Back in like I was baptized back in 2015, so I had started going to church then, and I don't think I was doing good. Okay, so
You about 16, 17 then?
no, I was 25.
Yeah, my math ain't mathing, but the math ain't mathing.
Hold on, we're not gonna go into that right now. We're doing stories. We're not doing mathematical. We're not mathematicians.
Yeah, y'all can
here,
roast me after we get done with this.
Right. I was trying to let that one slide, but I didn't know how to respond. And I hear you. I understand. Stupid. I understand. So I hear what you're saying. So I was baptized back then. I had started going to church and everything because I was just like, I need to do something. This life ain't going right. So I started going to church, and I went with one of my friends and his wife. And then after a couple months there, my friends left me. They went to a different location closer to their house. So now I was like, well, I like this church and I like staying here. So I started just going by myself, and I decided to get baptized. And after that, I just kept on going by church by myself every day. Every Sunday, I'd go to church by myself. And then eventually I got with my wife, started bringing her to church with me. We started serving at the church. she started making friends there. I was amazed because I was like, I've been here at this church this whole entire time, and I guess I just was getting my word and getting out. I didn't talk to nobody or nothing like that. And one day, she exchanged phone numbers with some lady there when I first started bringing her. So we started serving at the church. Then my mom started coming to church with us. She started serving at the church. My sister started coming to the same church. She started serving at the church. Her mom started coming to the church. She's not serving, but she comes every Sunday. Her sister started serving at the church. Our niece started serving at the church. My grandma started coming and serving at the church. So everybody started coming to church and stuff. And this was in the last, 4 years that's happened too. So we've been going to church for a long time. One of the events that happened to me was in 2023 in November 21st. So yesterday was my anniversary. I was diagnosed with end-stage congestive heart failure. So the way it happened, it first started happening, I started getting like real tired, real fatigued, short of breath, and to shorten it up just a little bit, when I first went into the doctor and started noticing these symptoms, because I had noticed whenever I was helping somebody move, and the date was September 30th that I noticed this. And I helped somebody move something, a chair that wasn't much heavier than just your average dining room table chair. And at the time, and almost all my whole entire life, I've been pretty athletic, pretty strong. I would wake up every morning at 5:30 to go work out. I'd hit the bag twice for 45 minutes twice a week and lift all the other days. And so I was really, really strong and in shape, and I ate right and everything. So I took this chair up the stairs and I got really out of breath. And then after that, I ended up going to the urgent care, and they took some x-rays of me and said, you have fluid on your lungs, you have pneumonia. There was a lot of pneumonia going around at the time too. So I was like, all right, cool. So they gave me some meds and I was like, okay, I'll be good in a couple weeks, back to my old self. So eventually it started actually getting worse. And that's when I started noticing I was getting more and more fatigued. I would do classes for my business. I do financial education classes, and I would do classes, and I took pre-workout to get through the class because I was so tired. I took a dry scoop right before the class, not knowing that was probably one of the worst ideas I could have done at the time, but I took pre-workout just to get through the class for an hour, and then I go back in the car and just sit because I was just so tired. And then time kept going on, and then I noticed that I started swelling in my ankles, and it was moving up to my feet and up to my abdomen. I gained about 20 pounds of fluid. When this happens, this is called edema, when your body's not able to flush out the fluid. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I was experiencing, not knowing what was going on at the time.
Did that happen over time, or was that after you took the scoop?
That was over time. So from September 30th all the way up to November 21st is in between that time frame that this has all started happening.
Gotcha.
And so I just got more and more tired and filling up more fluid and everything. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I went to the doctor. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I went several times. And then I go to the doctor again. I said, I can't live like this. My feet are swollen enough, like a pregnant lady's feet. Like I can barely get into my shoes. It's how swollen it was getting. I said, I can't do this. I can't live. I can't keep going like this. And I got a strong mindset. You know what I mean? I think I'm a tough guy up here. You know, as far as what I handle and process things and keep going and keeping my head up and all that stuff. But this was breaking me down. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so they scheduled a meeting with the doctor the next week. And so we get to the next week, the day before that appointment, and I'm so tired that Crystal had already went off to work. I took it to school every morning. And I woke up and I was just like so tired. I was dragging. My family has watched me slowly start dragging more and more and more. And I called my grandma and my mom. I'm like, hey, can you come pick these kids up? Like at the time, my daughter was 3, so she had just turned 3. So she would go to grandma's house and watch her for the day. And then I'd take my son to school. I said, can you take them to school and then take her with you? Because I can't do it today. They come over, they look at me, and they look at my feet and how swollen they are and stuff. My grandma says, nah, you better go to the hospital. And I said, nah, I'm not going to the hospital. I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. She said, if you don't get your butt out of this bed, I'm going to call the ambulance. Or you can get in the car with your mom and go to the hospital. And I was like, my thoughts were like, I don't want my kids seeing me wheeled off in the ambulance. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll get up and go. So I go to the ER. and down the street, and I get there, and the first thing they run a bunch of tests and stuff like that, and the first thing they tell me, they say, hey, you have congestive heart failure. And I was like, well, all right, I looked at the doctor and I just kind of chuckled nervously, and I said, that's extreme, because just a month ago they were telling me I had pneumonia. Now you're telling me I got congestive heart failure. That kept on ringing around my head. I'm like, heart failure. I was like, maybe that's not like that bad. Maybe it's a general diagnosis. Like, you have asthma, but you have light asthma, you have severe asthma, stuff like that. And I'm like, maybe it's not as bad as they seem. They say your ejection factor, which is the heart pressure of your blood, heart pressure, the amount of blood that's pushing out, is 15%. And I said, well, what is it supposed to be? She said 55 to like 60. And I said, that's pretty steep there, but I'm Nate. I could still come back from this. Do the right things, work hard, whatever you need to do. I can come back from that.
You was optimistic.
Exactly. I was like, I'll be all right. And so then I end up going to they end up keeping me. I'm like, you guys are keeping me? What? They're like, yeah, we can't send you home like that. I'm like, okay, for how long? They're like, we don't know. I'm like, okay. So then I go to the ICU. I'm in like ICU and stuff, and they're like, they've ran some procedures at this time and everything. They ended up running an MRI on me, which I absolutely hate. Preston knows I'm claustrophobic, so that was a struggle. But I found myself in meditation to sit in there for an hour and a half and try to meditate myself and keep myself peaceful to do that. And then they come back, and the doctors tell me, your ejection fraction is actually 8%. And I was like, whoa. What happened to 15? They said, well, the MRIs are more accurate, and your ejection factor is 8%. And so that hit me hard, because I was like, 8% to 15 was bad, but 8%, that ain't far from zero.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is your heart pressure, like your heart working, like, you know what I mean? This ain't far from zero. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to bounce back from this one. I'll try, but I don't know how this is going to work. So the doctors proceed to tell me after that, they said, you're going to need a heart transplant. The good thing is that you are a perfect candidate because you're so young and healthy and strong. They told me the only reason I was living right now and able to walk around was because I was so young, healthy, and strong. And they were perplexed at the fact that I could just get up and walk around and stuff like that. So too, it was a struggle, but I could still do it. And this doctor kind of ticked me off because she was like almost excited, like, "Oh, this is awesome! You're a perfect candidate for a heart transplant." And I'm like, "No, like I'm 32 years old. I don't want a heart transplant." And I literally if I was standing on glass, it felt like the whole world shattered. I started wondering, like, I didn't know what my life would look like after that, because I'm not educated on this at all. So I didn't know, like, okay, if you get a heart transplant, how long do you live after that? How long will I actually live? Will I be able to see my kids graduate? All this different stuff. And I'm like, stupid questions like, will I be able to walk again? Like, I don't know what was going on.
I don't know if that's stupid, bro, honestly, because when you think about it, anybody in those type of situations, they're
Everything's up for question.
Yeah, because if the future is unknown, you gotta ask yourself, what does this look like moving forward? You know what I mean? So I was just saying, I don't think it was stupid at all. Because it's like, man, if anybody is in that type of predicament, everything is compromised. What I knew life to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, this ain't no kidney we talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was the thing. It's like, I don't, anything that I had planned for, experiences and stuff like that, like vacations, spending time with my kids, doing this, hanging out with you, doing something with you. I know we had talked about going to Bristol or whatever in the cabins and stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's all up for grabs. You know what I mean? Like, I might not get a chance to do any of that.
Yeah.
You telling me I need a heart transplant. And a month ago, I was squatting 400 pounds, bench pressing 300, punching on the bag for 45 minutes just a month ago. And now you telling me I need a heart transplant. So I go from that to that in just a blink of an eye in a month, 30 days. And so now I'm sitting there thinking about it. And mom and dad were there sitting beside me whenever the nurse came in and told me that, and then she left out of the room, and dad ended up making me laugh about something. So the nurse noticed how down I was being. I guess I've been in a decent mood the whole entire time, even though I was really, really feeling bad. And she came up to me afterwards and was like, hey, I mean, I know this is hard and everything like that. We've got some stuff that can take the edge off. It's a little bit of an antidepressant and stuff, but it's a small dose, but it'll help you, take the edge off and stuff. And I was like, nah, I don't need that. And then mom says, well, it could help you sleep a little bit, because I wasn't sleeping good at all. And I was like, okay, that's a good point. I could sleep better. Sleep would be nice. And then my dad's on the other shoulder of me, and he says, go on, take the shit, son. I'd be depressed if I was you. And I thought that was funny, the way he said it and everything. I laughed and everything, and I looked at his face, and this dude was dead serious, though. He was dead serious. But it helped me because it kind of broke the tension there for a second, so it made me laugh. And I ended up taking that, and then I ended up just sitting there in the room and stuff. And it was a day where I was there by myself, and one of the nurses actually is my wife's mom's friend, and she walked in, and she knows what's going on and everything, and she told me her stories, that she's got breast cancer and stuff like that, or she had breast cancer and stuff, and she's telling me how she just had to lay at a guy's feet and stuff like that, because now I'm struggling. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why me? Yeah. All this stuff. I'm mad.
I can't imagine the mental war.
Yeah.
Like the warfare that.
Yeah. I am mad, bro. I am upset with God. I'm mad at everything. And, because I'm like I told you, I've been going to church and everything. I'm serving. I'm a good guy. I'm taking care of my family. I'm doing all the responsible things. Just walking old ladies across the street, everything. You know what I mean? Doing what I can. And now you just struck me down with this at age 32. When the doctors can't find any reason, it's not genetic. I've never done anything to harm my body. I keep my body in tip-top shape. Everything else on my body is at tip-top shape, working fine, except for my heart. And they can't find any reason what's wrong with me. And now you done struck me down with this. Like, with no reason. And I'm like, what the heck? So she tells me her story and stuff, and that helped a lot. How she went through it and everything. She's like, I had to lay at a guy's feet. So even though it was really hard to, like you said about your wife earlier, to form those words and stuff, I started back then to keep my faith in whatever he's trying to work out. I started then. It wasn't complete then. I wasn't all the way in there, but I started then, and I started working on it. I was still mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'll tell him. I was praying. I was telling him, like, hey, I don't know what you making me mad right now. I was praying. I was like, I hope you get this message. I don't like you right now. I don't know what you're trying to do, but I'm not for this. I'm mad. Whatever you're trying to do is jacked up, sir. Put some respect on it real quick. Huh? Yeah, respectfully, sir. But I was praying and stuff, and really the main thing I was praying about whenever I first got in there, and this was the second week I was in there, was my mom was telling me, or I was sitting there with me, and I was on my phone calculating stuff. I was calculating all my bills because I didn't know I wasn't working, and I didn't know how long we would last. And I was really stressing out about that, because our biggest prayer was, hey, I want to make sure my family's okay, my kids are okay, emotionally, financially, all that stuff. I want to make sure that they're okay first and everything. And my mom told me that you had living benefits. And so that was something I could use to access a lump sum of money to pay all my bills at home and stuff. And I forgot about that through the struggle. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I went and filed my claim, got a lump sum of money to be able to pay all my bills at home. And after I filed my claim and stuff like that, I was like, well, maybe I'll start praying for my own health now. But I wanted to make sure my family was taken care of first.
First things first. Huh?
Yeah. I just wanted to make that my biggest concern was them first. Because if I'm not here to take care of them, I need to still be okay. Yeah. I need to be able to make sure they're still okay. And so time goes on. I end up being in there for a while. Then they suggest this thing called a swan calf. They said, we need to do the swan calf. And I'm just like down and out. You know what I mean? They started, I was having to get blood drawn 3 times a day. They didn't have a PICC line in me, so they would have to manually go in and stick me 3 times a day to draw blood. They were giving me this thing called Lovinac shots to make sure my blood wouldn't clot. in the stomach. And it's a small little shot, not super, super painful, but it ain't cool. And then I had to stop them from doing all that. I was like, nope, you ain't taking no blood. You ain't giving me no Lovenox shots. I don't want to get poked. I said, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. And they were like, well, we need to. I said, nope, stay away from me. Because I was just shot. You know what I mean? I hadn't given up, but you ain't going to do anything. You ain't harming me no more. I'm done with that. And they suggested this thing called a swan cath. And a swan cath is where they go in through your neck and your jugular vein here. They put a rod in there, and it goes down to your heart to measure pressures in your heart so they can monitor what your heart's doing. And I was like, that didn't sound fun at all. And they were like, I said, so you just put it in there and pull it out? They said, no, there's something that we leave in the side of your neck for a while. And I said, well, how long do you have to leave it in there? And they're like, we don't know. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So the nurse comes back one day, and she really sat down with me and said, okay, I know you don't want to do this, but we need to do this for your own good. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to order it because we need to have it done. If they come up here and they come to get you and you don't want to go back there with them, you don't have to do it, and it's no hard feelings. So she relieved the pressure off of me of trying to get me to do it. And over an hour of like 3 or 4 hours before they came and got me, I decided to go ahead and do it. And it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. And they stuck this thing in my neck, and now I'm in the room. It still hurts to have this thing in my neck. You're pretty much tethered to a machine, so you can't really turn all the way over here, or you can't get up and just go to the bathroom without carrying this machine with you. You got to sleep with it and everything. And then they decide that they don't have all the stuff there necessary to take care of me or get to a solution for me. So they send me to Oklahoma City in Integris up here. And so I get in the ambulance with this swan cath on a bumpy road all the way up to Oklahoma City. And it's very, very uncomfortable. Then we get to Oklahoma City, and I still have this swan cath in. And then they go ahead and do everything they can for me, and they take care of me, and they're monitoring me. And Integris is the heart transplant place. Like, it's the place to be at. And so they're going over everything, and I end up staying there for another 2 weeks. And I leave on December 19th is when I was checked out. So right before Christmas. So I spent my birthday, which on December 5th, Thanksgiving, all in the hospital and stuff. And so December 19th is when they released me, so I can go home for Christmas. But they told me what they were going to do is they were going to send me home with 24/7 IV drip medication. So they take that swan cath out. Now I've got an IV pick line in my arm, which I have to be hooked up to a bag that administers this medication 24/7. I got to sleep with it and everything. And so they're like, this could help strengthen your heart. We have hope for you because you're so young, healthy, and strong that maybe this can come back. And so I said, how long will it take for like the medicine to kind of kick in? And they say it could take up to like 3 months. I said, all right, bet. So I'm like, I can hang in there and allow this stuff to stay in me for 3 months. So I go home. This is probably the worst, other than the open heart surgery, this is probably the worst time frame for me going through this. Because when I go home, my ejection fraction is still at 8%. And so I'm home for 3 months, and I'm basically bedridden. And my wife would talk about it. She's like, it was horrible because I'd leave for work in the morning at like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and I come back and you're still in the same spot in the bed. And this isn't saying I just laid there. I got up and went to the bathroom. I would try to do things to keep myself moving because I know in my own mind, if you make a habit of sitting down all the time, you turn into a slug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so mentally, I would try to get up and do things. I'd just go out and lay down on the trampoline outside and get some vitamin D. I literally was trying everything I could do on the other side other than meditation, just sitting outside and getting some vitamin D. I would try to walk. I got some supplements to try to do this. Everything I could to try to bring my body up to par. And none of that stuff was working. But every day I would sit there and there was only a few things that would make me happy during the day. And one, it was my kids. My 3-year-old daughter, she'd wake up early in the morning and she'd come downstairs and she'd jump into bed with me. And my daddy. And my wife would be like, no, don't jump on him and stuff like that, because she's wild thing. Don't jump on him, don't jump on him. I'm like, she's all right, don't worry about it. This is great. My son would come down there, hey, stand beside me awkwardly, look at me, hey, good morning. I'm like, hey, good morning, son. Good morning, son. My wife would wake up and give me a kiss and everything like that. And the other thing was cherry berry.
Who?
Cherry berry. So there's a frozen yogurt place called Cherry Berry. All right.
Hey, the way you said it.
Cherry berry.
Cherry berry.
Cherry Berry. I gotta tell you, boy, have a rough day and go get me some cherry berry.
Cherry berry.
And
Hey, they need you.
Yeah.
Bro. They need you to advertise.
Right.
Market. Having a rough day. Go
get
down
some
the street and get you some
cherry berry. And that was like delicious, bro. So like, here's the thing that nobody really knows too. So whenever I was going through this heart failure, is my stomach would parts of my body were shutting down because they weren't getting enough blood. So one of the things were my stomach. My stomach started to shut down. So like, if I ate some solid food, some days it would just sit in my stomach all day, like it would never digest. Sometimes I would throw it back up.
Oh man, that feels terrible. Huh?
It was. And so it would hurt. It was uncomfortable. And then, the nutrients that you're not able to get into your body. So I started drinking protein shakes. Make sure I drank protein shakes every day to get the protein in my body. And then also, like, all I was eating on was like applesauce and stuff. And I had a craving for just some sweet stuff. Preston knows I don't hardly even eat sugar. Mm-hmm. And I had craving out this world for just something that tasted good. And cherry berry satisfied that stuff. And so my mom would go get it and bring it to me, or they pick me up and drag my limping self up there and go get it. And I would that was my kick right there.
Yeah.
And so that was like the worst time. I would say I actually wrote down ratings of how I felt throughout the day. In that 90 days that I was at home, there was probably 3 or 4 days that I was at a level 5 for the day, out of 10, 1 out of 10, that I got to a 5. And I would feel like I was dancing that day. And can you imagine that your top level of feeling is 50% of where you're sitting at right now? If you have a 10, that means you got all the stuff done today. You're doing backflips and all kinds of stuff. But your top now is 50%. And I was an active dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And 50% was my high.
Yeah.
And I only experienced that like 3 or 4 times in 90 days. It was getting so bad that whenever the nurse would come in and draw blood from me once a week, my blood wouldn't even draw because my blood was not pumping enough. So they couldn't even get any blood out of me to draw. And that's how bad it was. So that was like the worst time of the whole experience, probably, that 90 days. But I was holding out the whole entire 90 days because I was wanting to give my heart a chance to rebuild itself. I did not want to get a heart transplant. They were also starting to suggest this thing called an LVAD. I mean, my dad would call it, we saw a diagram of it, and it looked like a jetpack. And so my dad would call it my dad would call it a jetpack. And I was like, I don't want that thing at all. It's a machine that you have to be connected to, that you have a pump put into your heart, and you have a cord coming out of your abdomen, and it has to be connected to a power source for 24/7.
Yeah.
So you have to be plugged into the wall or connected to batteries to walk around for whatever. It's walking life support. I did not want that. Well, these days had passed, and it had been so long, and I was deteriorating. My strength was starting to fail me and everything like that. Like, my mental was getting grinded down to nubs. And I was just like, man, this sucks. And so I talked to somebody that had one, and then that made me feel a little bit better about it. And then I went to a doctor's appointment, and the nurse asked me, I asked her if I could check my ejection fraction. It's about 3 months now. to see what it is. And she's like, you want to see what your ejection fracture is? She said, I said, yeah. He said, okay, we'll take you to the hospital and do another right heart cath on you to check it. And she's like, I'll schedule it right now. When you go, probably need to bring some extra clothes. I'm like, why? She's like, they might keep you. She knew what she was doing. But she's like, and also, if your numbers are bad, will you consider getting an LVAD? And I said, yeah. I was beat down. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So I go there, back to the hospital. They check my ejection fracture. They do what's a right heart cath. That's just like the swan cath, except they don't leave it in. They check it and pull it back out. I lay down and do this, and I'm adamant. I'm telling the doctors beforehand, I'm like, hey, man, I ain't staying here. And they're like, all right, duly noted. And I don't care what you say. I don't like pain. I don't like these procedures. I also told the anesthesia person, I was like, put me all the way to sleep. He's like, well, you can't go to sleep during this procedure. I said, get me there as close as you can. I said, I will keep awake. And then the doctor's name is Dr. Tan. He's a little Asian guy, and he seems really robotic, so I mess with him all the time. And I said, hey, I am not staying here. You got that, Dr. Tan? He was like, duly noted. And then I was like, all right. And so I get in there. They check the right heart cath. They said, your numbers is terrible, Nate. They said, what did you want to do? And said, do you want to do an LVAD? I said, yeah. I took a deep breath. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And then so they're like, we're going to keep you here. I'm like, man, I told you ain't keeping me. I'm messing with him now. And he's like, we have to. I said, I know. Go ahead, do what you got to do. So I stayed there another week. The next week I get an LVAD put in. So they prepped me for surgery and put me in there. When you have an LVAD, you have to have open heart surgery. So it's still a major surgery. And they stuffed this thing in there. What was it? You were there. Was it 8 hours or something like that? I was in surgery.
Mm-hmm. It was the day for sure.
Yeah. So whenever you have surgery, I say it's worse on y'all than it is me, because I just go to sleep and wake back up. But
100%.
And just sitting there waiting, I can't imagine sitting there waiting to see what happens. You're not knowing what's going on. I mean, they give you prompts along the way of what the condition is and everything like that, but just sitting there 8 hours waiting on somebody to come out, I mean, that's a terrible thing for me. Right. I just go to sleep and wake back up. But after the surgery, I remember they told me that I would be intubated. That's where they leave your tube in your throat to feed you oxygen and everything like that. And they will have you stay like that for a little while after the surgery to make sure everything's okay. And they also told me that I would be handcuffed to the bed because they don't want you pulling out your tube and stuff like that. And again, I'm claustrophobic. I don't like that stuff. But I already knew it was happening, so I was okay. So I wake up after surgery, and before they let your family come in, they still watch you first. And I wake up, and I'm in a dark room. And I see this lady sitting off in the corner over here, and it's a nurse just sitting there. And this setting is just depressing. And I'm like, I don't know why in my head, I just thought that lady was a bad lady. I don't know why. I was just like, she ain't cool. Maybe it was the whole setting and stuff like that. But then this was one of the other worst moments that I felt. I was sitting there and I started getting this terrible, terrible pain in my chest. And it wasn't like a pressure or anything like that. It literally felt like somebody took like a metal rod with a sharp end on it and stabbed it into my heart and then started wrenching it back and forth. So it was like a sharp pain at first, and then it would just kind of pulse really, really hard. And I was just like tripping out. The nurse would come over real quick. She ended up being a very, very nice lady. But she'd come over, she'd like rub my hands and say, hey, you're in pain, you're everything. And, I can't talk, so I'm just making noises and stuff. And they were giving me morphine. And so that morphine would last about 10, 15 minutes, and then it would start again and start pulsing and stuff. And I'm trying to endure it. But when it started pulsing, that was just like terrible. And this is the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And I mean, I've broken bones, I've torn tendons, I've done all kinds of stuff. And this was the worst pain I've ever felt. Yeah. And it wasn't the opening of my wound or anything. It was my heart. Yeah. I know exactly what it is, but I guess that might be what it feels like when you have something shoved into your heart.
Yeah.
And she told me that she's like, I don't know why you're in so much pain. This usually doesn't happen to other patients and stuff. And I don't know either, but it was terrible. And so they started giving me enough morphine to where I was doped up enough to where I guess I didn't feel it, and it eventually started to subside a little bit. Then I go, and then I remember my family's able to see me and stuff, and I'm like, they gave me a pad to write on. My hands are still can't come to the bed, so I'm like writing and stuff, and my mom is over helicopter and stuff, and I'm like trying to write and stuff, and I'm like writing stuff. I'm like, why are you not listening? Read what I'm saying. And then she started writing on the pad too, and I was like, "What are you doing? I can hear you. I can hear you."
you automatically became deaf,
Right? What are you doing? I can hear you. Like, why are you writing on the pad,
bro?
But
I can
just
see your facial expressions. And stuff too when you said that, bro. That's funny.
Like, what the heck? But she was in such a panic too over her son
Yes.
being like this and everything, and she just kind of did that and everything, and it was just that was just terrible. And so then I recovered, and I go back home, and you stay probably another. Go ahead.
I was about to say, if you don't mind, you said a whole lot, bro, that I like to kind of go back on. Like when you face tragic times like this, you know what I mean? You were saying how you were talking about how, in these situations, of saying like mentally I'm strong, right? Mm-hmm. And who you are in your natural state. This is why I love how the Bible says that what we deal with is not physical, it's not flesh and blood, it's spiritual. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because when things like that, when our physical matters, when our physical being don't matter, and when our mental being don't matter, what foundation is our spiritual life on? Because that's what is really going to matter in moments like that. You know what I mean? And so, like, when I was just listening to you, this is exactly why the word encourages us and tells us that our foundation must be Jesus, the solid rock that we stand on. You know what I mean? Because anything else is a shaky foundation or it's fleeting. You know what I mean? It's not stable. Like that glass table we was talking about earlier. You know what I mean? It's it's not stable. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's one thing that I've learned over the years, man. And even with seeing my brother go through stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's like the foundation has to be solid, because if we're not standing on solid ground, then who are we? What good are we to anybody? Then we're just gonna have a whole lot of emotions
Tossed to and from.
Yes, and a whole lot of confusion coming from those emotions. You know what I mean? And just a whole lot of brokenness. But in Christ, the beautiful thing about it, in His foundation, we're able to have assurance. You know what I mean? That this too shall pass. That He do provide healing. And then when He brings us through these things, how do we glorify and magnify His name moving forward? You know what I mean? So I thought that was a note worth sharing when it comes to stuff like that, because a lot of us, when we're going through life situations, we will fail as beings. We will break as beings. You know what I mean? Because naturally, we're not God. We're not able to pull ourselves up when we're broken down to this type of magnitude. You know what I mean? We have to have a supernatural help. You know what I mean?
Well, whenever you're going through this stuff, and there's stages in this where I was like, okay, I'm all right, or I'm going to be okay. Well, let me tell you this first off. I never thought for once that I was going to die. What actually scientifically was happening to me was I was slowly dying. I never for once thought I was going to die. I was like, this is bad. I don't think I'm going to die. The doctors told me when I first went in that if you would have stayed home another day or so, you would have died. All this stuff. And I was like, I didn't feel like, I was just tired. You know what I mean? And so one thing is it brings the realization of, even though you feel like you're going to be okay, that, that's a possibility that could still happen. Going to sleep and I just didn't wake up again. I just felt really, really tired and didn't feel good. It wasn't nothing super extreme. I wasn't like burning all over my body or something like that, and nothing like that. I was just really, really tired.
Fatigue, yeah.
And so, that brings me to that. But, as I said before, I started saying to myself that, I started keeping my faith and everything as well too.
Yes.
And slowly saying, you know, I'm trusting you. Slowly saying, I trust you with my finances. I trust you with my body. I trust you with my marriage. I trust you with this stuff. And it was still getting harder and harder, but I was chanting that stuff, and that was getting stronger and stronger within me.
Okay.
Now, after I got the surgery, that was another gut wrenching deal there too, and I had to recover from that because I know there's some people out there that like to see all the surgeries and the procedures and cut open and all that stuff. I didn't look down at my chest or anything, my whole entire body, the whole entire time I was in the hospital. I didn't want to see that. I didn't see what I looked like until I got home. Now, at this point, because of me not being able to eat, I had lost about 25 pounds. Okay, when I got home and I took my shirt off and saw myself for the first time, I've got a big old gash in the middle of my chest. I've got puncture wounds for whatever they did to me over here. I've got a gash in my side over here. I've got holes in my belly button area and stuff like that where the hose is going on into me. And along with that, I have a cord coming out of my body right now. And I looked in the mirror, and from the physique that I had developed and worked on for my whole entire life and being in shape my whole entire life, I looked like hell. I was all skinny. I had scars. I looked like a messed up Frankenstein. And just looking at that in the mirror, I had to register that. I had to take that all in. Like, this is who I am right now. And this is how, I don't know if I'm going to come out of this, be better again. I don't know, you know. And now it's a war in my mind struggling too. I'm supposed to be better, but I feel like crap still. And now I'm a burden to my family. I used to be the rock, you know. And I'm like, my daughter was 3 at the time. And before I got sick, you know, 2 and 3, she would always come up to me and say, "Daddy, can you pick me up in your big old strong arms and stuff like that?" And she wasn't saying that no more. And I noticed it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, how does she know that I'm strong, big, strong daddy? Your daddy, that's how it is. And she would say that to me. Yeah. And when I got sick and scrawny and everything like that and weak, she wasn't saying that to me no more. She'd come over and cuddle with me stuff, but she wasn't saying it. Right. So just little things like that registered. And then, you know, my self-image too. You know what I'm saying? I try to be strong in mind, body, spirit. I try to be strong in all those areas. You know, reading books and everything like that, working out, praying, going to church, reading the Bible. I try to be strong in all those areas, and now my body is not there at all. And then it's the depression. You know what I'm saying? Like, where is the light at? I had to search for it. It wasn't just sitting there for me. I had to look for it, and obviously I had to look to God for it. A lot of it, because there was nothing else in Cherryberry. God and Cherryberry. You know what I'm saying? That was the light.
But got cherubim and cherryberry.
Cherubim and cherryberry.
There you go. We're gonna invest in one day.
Yes, sir.
So we'll get in the franchise.
Yeah.
So I had to look at all that stuff, and then after one day. It was one night that, you know, I guess I hadn't addressed a lot of this because I was struggling just to stay alive and fight it and endure it. That sometimes I would just break down out of nowhere. You know, I'd be sitting there thinking about something, and I'd be pouring some water, and then I'd be like, man, what if I won't drink water again? I'm like, start breaking down. I'm like, what the heck is this on my face? Yeah. Like, why is my face wet? And my wife would just give me a hug and stuff like that. Well, one day I was sitting there. It was late at night. We were about to lay down and stuff. And I started tripping in my head because now I was like, I got this LVAD in my chest. How long do you live? And I still need a heart transplant. This isn't a fix. It's just walking life support. It's a bridge to get to a heart transplant. So I'm like, how long am I actually going to live? You know, am I going to make it? I said, I'm going to struggle to make it like 55, 60 years old. That's what I'm saying to my wife. And I'm like, so graduations, grandbabies, going on trips with my wife and stuff like that. And what this LVAD has done, too, is you have limitations on it and stuff like that as well, too. You can't get in water, you know. You can only consume a certain amount of fluid a day. You got to stay away from salty foods. And also, you know, I can't go out and just play basketball with this bag slinging around and play rough with you guys or something like that. I can't go outside and play football and stuff like that anymore. What about the other stuff? What if I want to go skydiving again? What if I want to go and experience and go scuba diving again? What if I want to go skiing? What if I want to do all these experiences in life and everything, and now I can't do some of that stuff because this dang bag, and I got to lug it around all the time. It's got to be attached to me all the time. I got to plug into a wall when I go to sleep.
Yeah,
So,
I truly understand why people say health is wealth.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't think about it, it's not something you think about. And yeah, plugging up to something that ain't really just strenuous, but whenever you're a guy that is active and trying to enjoy life and everything like that, and you have another thing that's like a chain to you, you don't want that. You just don't want that. It's another thing. It's another burden. You know what I mean? And so I'm sitting there thinking about this. All this stuff is rolling through my head and stuff, and I'm starting to break down a little bit. And I'm like, man, it's sad that I might have to leave my family in 10, 20 years, 15, 20, 30 years now. Like, I won't be here because all this stuff happened. And I'm good for now, but how long will I actually be able to live? And so I'm breaking down about this stuff. And then in that same minute, my wife's looking at me and she's trying to find something to say. I can see it in her face. She's trying to say something positive or something like that. But what the heck do you say to somebody at that time? And in that same moment, I'm looking at her and I turned my head and I just said, you know what? I said, nah. I said, I ain't going to die at 55. I said, I'm going to be 90 years old. And I'm going to have, I don't care how many heart transplants or whatever. And I said, I'm 90 years old, 90-something years old. And I said, I'm going to be mobile. I'm going to be messing with the grandkids. I'm going to be messing with my kids. I'm still going to be fun and everything like that. And I said, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to enjoy it. And even if I don't make it to 90 years old, I said, I'm going to live every day like I am. And that was just a choice in my head. Because I knew that I would die. I know that I would die one day. But I knew that I wasn't going to die that day. And that's what mattered. Okay? Don't count the days. Make the days count.
Come on.
Make every day count.
That reminds me of the song, man. David said, teach us to number our days that we might gain a heart of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend who lost his father recently, and I don't know, it just put a new perspective or a more understanding on the perspective of that scripture. He said, wisdom is not found in living long. It's recognizing that life is short. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you gain a heart of wisdom, whenever you're able to treat each day, as if it was your last. And so, man, I really think God is imparted that in you through this experience. Mm-hmm. Is living like, hey, I got to make today count.
Right. And these moments like this, hanging out with you guys, messing around with your kids, wrestling around, little things, they're the ones that really matter.
Yeah.
Because those are the memories that stick. We don't have a lot of. We have every time we have a memory is an event of us climbing on the roof and doing just silly things, and those moments are what I love about Preston.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are the times that I remember and stuff like that. It ain't about all the great work that he done for the city. You know what I'm saying? It's the moments that I spent with him.
Yeah.
And the experience that I had. And so in those kind of times and stuff, when you're going through something, man, emotional, physical, somebody else related to you, it's about choices. It's your choice. You can let the darkness take you. You know what I'm saying? Of that experience, that bad experience. Yeah, it ain't good. You know what I mean? But you got to seek the light of it. Seek what's coming out of it. And you got to make a choice to whether to fall to the darkness or to seek out the light, the good, what can come out of this and everything. And I chose to not let the darkness take me, because I got every reason to be bitter and mean and all that stuff. And I could have just laid down and just been a slob and not try to get up and hang with my kids or anything. I just sit in my room all day and watch cartoons or whatever and eat cherry berry.
Yeah.
But I chose not to do that.
Yeah.
I chose to live. I chose to enjoy. And then from that point, like I told you, I've been keeping my faith. But I feel like really I started saying to myself, and it was still weak then, but I started saying to myself, this didn't just happen to me. That's how it seems.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more like placed on me for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Almost like a badge of honor to wear. You know what I'm saying? Because this scar on my chest, other people can see it. You know what I mean? I didn't even want to look at it for a long time. But other people can see it, and people can see what I've went through, and know that they can make it through their struggle that they're going through too. And that's maybe I'm still searching and trying to follow the correct road, but maybe why this has been placed upon me.
Yeah.
So people can see that.
I heard a saying, man. One person, I think it was Ty Tribbett, but I don't think he's the creator of this saying. But he said that our issues in life may not have been good to us, but it was good for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I've learned. When I think of a lot of transitions and stuff that I've been through in life, no, it wasn't good to me, but it was good for me. And what I mean good to me is that, like, when don't nobody choose to go through hardship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the part that I believe he means by it wasn't good to me. I'm not going to choose to go through this, but it was good for me that I went through it. You know what I mean? Because what's on the other side, like you said, seeing it from a place of God, he takes everything and he makes it, what's that scripture, man? For the good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose.
Exactly.
And so, and I'm paraphrasing and butchered it at the same time, so y'all forgive me. But when we look at that, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times we are used as vessels to be one who faithfully walks through these journeys with showing people the way of the Lord, the strength of the Lord, the wisdom of the Lord. The enemy wants us to take these things and use them. And like you said, I could have chose to dwell in the darkness and fall into depression and just self-pity myself. You know what I mean? But there's purpose in pain. You know what I mean? And what would I do with this purpose? I'm going to scream to the mountaintops, man. God gave me breath in my lungs again. Let me continue to move forward and be a light with this life that he's given me. You know what I mean? Instead of allowing it to be something that turns into dead water. You know what I mean? And so, like, when I love how you put that, bro, because a lot more people, I pray that it encourages somebody who's listening and watching it too, man. You may be going through something that is dark right now and not sure how to make it through that. For one, that I learned, community is very important. The voices that you have around you is very important. Like when Job was going through his sickness, he had people saying, curse God and die. You know what I mean? But because of Job's foundation was in Christ, he said, no, I won't. You know what I mean? Because he knew that that's where life came from. He knew that life was in God, and he chose not to curse God because he know that God was the one who was giving him the strength to get through those things. And so it's like, I pray that whoever's listening to this, you may have a community like Job's community who is telling you to curse God, who is telling you to give up, who is telling you, tomorrow is not looking too good for you, and you might as well just, sweep it under the rug and live today. Like, at the end of the day, for the healthiest person, tomorrow's not promised. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people fail to realize. So community is important.
Yeah, I'll tell you on that too. So when I was in the hospital for the first 30 days, and I mean throughout this whole entire time, Mom, Dad, Crystal were up there. One of them two or one of them three were there every day I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
There wasn't very long. There might have been hours that I was there by myself. And to be honest with you, I mean, it was great support to have them with you there, but it was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I say that in the sense that, like, I had such a good support system between, like, you and the other family members. Let's just say I had 18 people come up and see me in the hospital from in Tulsa all the way up to Oklahoma City to come and see me in the hospital that first 30 days that were not family members.
Yeah.
And that was somebody. So Daddy was saying one day, he said, man, you got somebody up here every dang day to see you. And I said, I know, man. And honestly, like I said, it was kind of getting annoying because now I got to my personality and stuff, I gotta perk up and I gotta be, mean. I gotta be Nate.
Yeah.
And that's how people knew I was okay, because I still be joking around and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I was doing okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
shout out to Dad, because he really did just impersonate Dad pretty well.
Shout out to coming to see you every
day. Yeah. Shout out to Dad, man. We love you.
I was like, man, but so that's how it was, and he was there every day too, talking.
Yeah.
And love
that. And that's where we get our gift from. So
gift from Gab. Yeah. Boy, he'd be up there all night. I'd be like, well, I'm going to sleep. There was just some nights he'd be talking and stuff, and then I'd be like,
what a blessing, man.
Yeah, it was, man. And I'd be sitting there laying back. It'd be like 10 o'clock at night, and obviously I'm tired.
Yeah.
And so he's talking, and I'm just like, got my eyes closed and stuff. And I love my dad, so I'm listening to him, but I got my eyes closed, and I'm like, And he said, well, you about to go. You look like you about to go to sleep. And I'm like, that was 2 hours ago. Like, Daddy, you look like you about to go to sleep. And so he go get the blanket and stuff, and then lay down and then go to sleep himself.
Yeah.
And it was good that I had some support. And I want to go into that because, I had cards coming in. I got a stack of cards like this big at home from all people sending me cards and stuff like that. I had people coming to see me. Those times where it really got hard, like when I first heard about the heart failure and stuff, my mama and my daddy and my wife, they wasn't gonna let me give up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even if I felt a little twinge of it, they was there to, hey, come on, pick you up. Come on now. They wouldn't let me. I wasn't allowed to let the darkness take me at all. And that was very important.
One thing you don't know, bro, is that whenever all that was taking place, I reached out to them and like our community, for prayer, bro, and they would be checking up on you. They didn't even know you, and they would be texting, how's Nathan doing? You know what I mean? And continuously asking those questions. So you also had an extended family, bro, that was going to war for you in prayer and everything too, bro. So I ain't never tell you that part about it, but like, bro, like literally, like it's a gang of us, bro, that was keeping you lifted, man, and praying for your health during that time as well, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all the love and support, man, because that's definitely been something that kept me up and everything. And I mean, I'm sure God heard you because I'm still here.
Yeah.
And not only are you here, bro, but, bro, you look phenomenal.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to look like what you've been through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure,
not.
And he's done it, and I'm blessed to say that too, man. Like that's what I get all the time is like, you got end-stage congestive heart failure. I mean, I'm president in some of my networking meetings and stuff like that, and people don't even know that I got this going on. They just think I'm wearing some backpack because it's a fad too. Because I got this backpack because they give you a computer bag looking thing whenever you first get your LVAD. And I said, I ain't wearing that crap.
Yeah.
So I got this, and this way it doesn't look like anything other than the stylists nowadays and stuff. And people don't even know. They might see that cord coming out and see that, but they don't even know that I'm going through this. And plus, the way that I am blessed to be able to still perform and stuff like that, like if we go to the gym or something like that, I can still do more than your average person.
Yeah. I've
rebuilt myself and everything. But I want to go back to talk about my faith again. Like I said, I felt like this stuff was placed upon me, not just something that happened to me. So I feel like that's why I hit pressing up, and I want to just express this out and stuff like that. I want to be able to share this with others and stuff to let them know when they go back and when they're going through something like this, you have a choice. You have a choice. You can go to God and the light there and continue to move forward, or you can go ahead and submit to the darkness. But everything gets dark sometimes, and when you're looking around and stuff, and this is figure of speech, but sometimes we don't know what the direction is the right way to go. Well, a lot of times you still know your next step, or you choose your next step. And if you can know your next step, that's all you got to take is the next step. Whether the next step is, hey, let me go ahead and get up out of bed today, to go down to my knees and pray to God. You know what I'm saying? You take those next steps, and then you follow that with another step and another step, and that's how you keep going. That's how you step out of the darkness. Is you just take it step by step by step. If you see where your next step is, you take that. and that's what you got to do. And so, during this whole entire thing, it's obviously been a lesson to me, and it's something I want to share with others. And I mean, those times have been so dark and everything, and I've come out of it. And even after the surgery and stuff, I started, I was still feeling terrible, but I started doing things like my normal life till I could get back as close as I could to normal life. So even when I was still down and out, I would still go to church. Even though I looked like sick and everything like that, and they'd be like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm here freaking for the Lord. What do you mean?
The church is the hospital.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is, what do you think?
Yeah.
And I would still try to go outside and serve. You know what I'm saying? I pull my little heart failure card sometimes. I'd be like, man, I'm too tired. Yeah. I'm just going to stay inside. You know what I'm saying? But I would still go and serve and stuff. When I was fresh out of surgery with this, my classes that I teach, I have other agents and stuff. I didn't have a single one of my own personal people there. But I was like, I need to go do this class. And then my mom was like, yeah, you need to go do it. My wife was like, hey, because I was about to back out. I'm like, I'm too tired. I don't want to do it. They were like, nope, you need to go do it. I get up there and I teach the class just to get back into life again. I started trying to make sure I was messing around with my son for football and stuff like that. I started going outside with him, throwing the football around and stuff.
Yes.
My daughter, I started just playing with pups. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Barbies and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would just try to do things just to get back in life because I enjoy life. I'm here for life.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed.
That's right.
So I want to grasp it and take it and enjoy every single day of it and get all of it that I can get every single day. And you can't do that from the couch or
That's
feeling
right.
sorry for yourself.
So when you was in that, you was talking about how you had your finances and you was worried about all those things. And I know one thing that you're passionate about, bro, is helping people understand what they need to do during times like that. And so will you, as we get ready to land this plane, will you go into that and share how your mom reminding you of, what was it called again?
Living benefits.
Your living benefits, and how it helped you during this time of uncertainty. Will you share that and share how that impacted you as well?
So, living benefits allows you to access a lump sum of cash. So like when you're going through something like this, you're unable to work. You are your most valuable asset as far as finances go because you are the person that brings in money into your household. And so I was unable to work at that time. So I was able to access a lump sum of cash to pay for my entire house. I was able to pay for medical bills, pay off all my medical bills, continue to pay my house payment, the car stuff, the insurances, and make sure there's money in the house for food for the kids and everything like that. And so me and my wife did not have anything to worry about. As far as I'm concerned, my finances were the least of my problems during this whole entire thing. Because whenever you're going through something like this, is that really the time you want to lose your business, your car, your home? Absolutely not. I went a full 9 months without working. And then on top of that, I slowly eased back into work. Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't just jump out there full gun again. I eased back into work. And so during this time, the impact of having no financial worries, that eliminated a lot of stress. So now I wasn't in there stressing about, I need a heart transplant and I need to get better and stuff like that. I could have been stressing about, oh my gosh, how are my kids doing at home? How are we going to go ahead and pay the mortgage this month? How are we going to keep our home? I could have been stressing all about that. That was a whole section of stress that I was relieved from. I didn't have to call Preston and say, hey man, can I borrow some money? I know you to give it to me, but I didn't have to call you to do that. Mama, daddy didn't have to come out of pocket to take care of me and stuff. And I didn't put their lives in stress too because I had to borrow money and they had to support me. So in essence, living benefits is so important for anybody because you are more likely to have something happen to you before you pass away. I always like to give an analogy of a car. Whenever you have a vehicle, your car just doesn't crap out and stop working one day and just dead. It's not working at all. Usually what happens is you're driving down the highway and bing, bing, on comes the check engine light. That could be your air, your transmission, your your oil, all that stuff, your engine. It could be any of those issues. But it doesn't just crap out on the highway and just die and never work again.
Yeah.
Check engine lights happen. And that's the same thing with our bodies. Before we pass away, we usually get sick, whether it's cancer, heart attack, stroke, ALS, renal failure, loss of limb, loss of sight. Any of that stuff, heart transplants, any of that stuff can happen to you. And when you go through that, you are still alive. Regular traditional life insurance only pays out if you die. But what happens if you're really, really sick and you're unable to work for a long period of time? How do you support your family and yourself during that time? Living benefits is your answer. And I'm living proof that anything can happen to anyone at any age. I'm 32. I was 32 years old when I was diagnosed with end-stage congestive heart failure. If you placed me in a room with 100 people, I was one of the top in shape, healthiest people in that bunch at any given time, unless I was in there with 100 bodybuilders, and I was in that good a shape. And you can ask him, out of our entire family, I was probably the.
They know. I told him. I said, bro, he was the healthy. He ate the best out of all of us, and he definitely was in the gym more than all of us. Probably Tamara is probably the second one that I could probably, our baby sister, who I could say is just as consistent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So that's just to say that things can happen. You know what I'm saying? Things can happen in your life that you can't foresee, and you want to make sure that you're prepared for it. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those ways of building a foundation for you, for your finances, to make sure that when something hits hard, you're ready for it and you're prepared to be able to still continue to live life the way that you have it as you see fit right now, and still continue to reach your financial goals. There's so many illnesses that's brought down people that lost their whole entire business, their whole entire rental property, their personal house, or put them in debt for the rest of their lives because they weren't in a position to have something in place to be able to take care of them at that time when that happens. And that's very important. And people don't see the importance of being prepared for that until it happens. Or until it happens to somebody sitting right next to you. And by that time, it's too late. You could have told your friend about it and had him ready. You could be ready for it right now, And that's the sad thing about it. My thing is to put GoFundMe out of business, because I want to make sure everybody's taken care. I would hate to see somebody have this happen to them and them not be able to have access to what I had access to be able to take care of themselves.
One thing that I love about what you hearing you, bro, because like you always used to see people approach you with stuff like that, and I'm like, bro, I'm tired of y'all coming trying to get money up out of me or join. But like literally, I love how you keep putting emphasis. Somebody who has been through it, and this is how God helped provide for me through this situation. And if not, it would have been GoFundMe's, and draining, pockets from family members to try to make sure that everybody is set. You know what I mean? And so, like, bro, that's solid, and that's one thing that helped me start to pay attention, bro, to what you're conveying, because he be on us, bro, like he do. Hey, man, now you've been through the class, I ain't heard from you. And stuff like that, but it's really real. You know what I'm saying? Like you do have to think about what is the next steps for your family. And like how he said, he went from being somebody who was the provider to a burden, he felt like, because he was never a burden, but I know what he's saying financially and stuff like that of having to be the one to being taken care of when he's the one that's the overseer, how God makes us the head of our homes. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I get what you're saying. And so in this moment, all of these things fell into place to help you have a peace of mind. First, we know that true peace comes from Christ. But when it comes to the financial burdens and all that stuff, you didn't have those worries because of what was put in place. So what are some ways that people can get in touch with you when it like if they're interested from hearing or seeing this?
So you can reach me. I'm on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I've got a business page on Facebook and a personal page. My company is called Prime Capital, Pryme Capital, Capital, and then, or you can just message me on Nathan Williams on Facebook. And then I have my website at www.primecapital.info. And it has my testimonial story of this as well too, and how it relates to living benefits and how that helped as well too. But that's the best way to reach out to me.
Amen.
Man, dope, bro. Thank you for sharing that. And just kind of landing a plane here. We usually ask our guests 2 questions at the end of the podcast. One being going through everything that you went through, bro, and you happen to stand solid on your faith and begin to seek God in that struggle and trust and say, hey, I trust you with this. I trust you with that. I trust you with this. Despite the unknowns that you had to face, moving forward in the future. Like, if, let's say somebody is in a bad place right now, struggling. They previously had faith, and they're struggling in their faith right now because of different circumstances that they're facing right now, and they barely holding on by a thread, bro. What would you say to that person? And then secondly, for somebody who has never taken that step, they've heard about Jesus, they've heard about the Father, but it's just something in them that's like, yeah, that's not even worth my time. What would you say to those 2 people, bro?
That's deep. I would say, man, so the person that's in that dark spot, man, you got to make a decision of where you want to go, what you want to do, and seek out those next steps. Look for the light. You're in a dark area. Obviously, none of us like sitting in the dark. Look for the light. Seek it out. God says to seek Him, right?
That's right.
So seek out the light. And then when you see, even if it's a tiny little speck, take those steps forward.
That's good.
Whether it's going into church, because if you're in us position, you don't like where you're at right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So turn away from that.
Yeah.
Turn away from that. Go the opposite direction. You're not happy. You seek happiness in a good way, in a good, faithful way. Mm-hmm. You're seeking out the light because it's dark. Go seek the light. Step to it. And that's what I would just tell you, man. It's whenever you're in these situations and stuff, I know it sounds complicated and everything like that, but the answer is always the same. Take the next steps. No matter what kind of situation you're in, financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, the answer is always the same. Take the next steps. Take the step forward. That's the solution to everything. And I've thought about it a lot of different times in a lot of different ways, and it's the same answer every single time. You got to take the steps. And if you're not going to take the steps, then you're not going to change anything in your life. But if you want to change something in your life, you got to change something in your life.
That's right.
And that's what I would say to those folks. I mean, it's not too deep. It's pretty simple. Just take the next steps.
And sometimes that can take courage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the courage to take whatever that next step is. Or sometimes we can get overzealous, and move before God say move. But yeah, I think like you're saying, like seeking Him and whatever that next step is, going ahead and taking that next step. So that's good, bro.
Amen.
Last thing I want to say, man, is I'm gonna go ahead and I want everybody to look out for my book that I'm writing right now. It's gonna be coming out probably next year. Is the time frame we're looking at, called 8% and Back. And the reason that's the title is because my ejection fraction was 8%, and even though my heart function right now is still at 8%, I'm living my life 100%. So that's it's gonna be in telling my story and everything, and how to uplift people and motivate people and inspire people. Even though you're in the dark, there's a light, and you got to take the next steps towards it.
That's good.
That's it, bro.
That's good.
And lastly, for the unbeliever, for somebody who just feel like, man, God ain't even, it's not worth me putting my effort and life, like surrendering my life to. What would you say to that person, bro?
Man, That's a tough one. What would I say to that person? Man, that goes back to saying, looking at where you're at right now. You don't think it's worth it and everything, and how are things going for you right now? I mean, would you be open to looking at something different and taking that step with me? And that takes a person to come in and hold their hand, showing them compassion and lead them in the right direction. During this whole thing too, I don't know why, but I've been having a lot of broken people come to me, and I've invited and brought a lot of people to church with me, make them stand outside and serve with me. I serve on the parking lot team, so I just sit out there and wave at people, but they sit out there and serve with me and stuff, and we just talk and stuff like that. Or me and my friend neighbor across the street, he's going through some things, and we have root beer, and we just go to my man cave and sit and drink root beer and talk and stuff like that. And I think that takes a little bit more closeness than just telling somebody something, but kind of showing them what life can be. Because when you grow up or you've been put in a situation for so long, your blinders are up, so it's hard to see that.
True.
And then you got to open up the window for them to see, and maybe you're that window.
Yes.
And that's what you got to do for some people. Is kind of just open up their window and say, hey man, I'm here, come outside, it's warm. You know what I mean? And that's what you got to do, and you got to continue to show them that until they start to get it and seek the sunlight for themselves, and like, oh yeah, it is pretty nice out here. Yeah, it can be this way all the time, bro. You ain't got to stay in that dark little house no more. Come on out here.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Amen, bro.
Or what I would do.
Yeah. That's good.
Right. Because it's not always about saying something.
Come on.
Words don't always affect people, as much as being that person to come alongside them and do life with them, bro. So what you're saying is solid, bro.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
That's fire, man.
Man, you got any closing thoughts, P?
Man, it's like I say, my heart's just jumping for joy, man. Cause it's like listening to him right now, man. I used to be that brother he didn't want to listen to. I ain't trying to hear that stuff, bro.
I'm trying to hear you preach to me every single time I get on the phone with you. I want to know how you're doing.
And so like just listening to him, share what the Lord is doing in his life, man, and just seeing him alive, mostly is what blesses me the most, man. And Lord willing, we get to make more memories, not just with each other, but for God's kingdom as well. You know what I mean? But man, like, share, subscribe. I'm gonna say it again. Like, share, and subscribe, man.
Do it.
And whenever you are in Tulsa, go try some of that cherry berry. But other than that, man, that's it.
Amen. Well, man, Nate, thank you for being with us today, bro. I'm truly inspired and blessed by your story, man. Yes. And I know God is still writing it. We expecting to hear good things from the Lord, and just inspired by your perseverance, man.
Yes.
And so, thank you for coming today, bro.
I appreciate being here, man. Love you guys.
Love you too,
love you, brother.
Yeah.
All right, Redeem Team, we love y'all too.
Yes, love y'all.
But till the next time,
let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Holla.
Peace.